off, but the man walks on.
Hello again. Welcome to our In Sport podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. But anyway, I just want to, first things first, this toilet paper, right? I've got this toilet paper. I need it because I have number 11 sometimes and I cry. I've been known to cry. I'm a crier, especially when
Nothing
it's something.
Yeah,
thanks, Pet. But I don't think you need any introduction. Everyone knows who we've got. And you know what? I always, whenever I yarn about you, I always mention that you actually don't pronounce your surname the way everybody thinks, or the way everybody thinks that it should be pronounced. I don't. Yeah, it's. Can you pronounce it properly for me, please?
Sure. So in Fijian, the letter C is pronounced like a TH.
Yes.
So it's like a the.
Yep.
So it's really Civoniceva.
See, thank you.
There you
and
go.
I really wish, and for any commentators out there that are listening to us, like if you have a person of, Pacific Islander, Fijian, Maori, Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, like learn to know the names and get to pronounce them properly, because I feel like that's really, really important. Like I think, Chelsea Lenaduzi, the Z is a chi.
Wow,
so it's
there you
actually Chelsea Lenaduce.
There you
know, they're just, I'm deadly gay. But anyway, look, we're going to start a bit of a tradition first, and you're the first cab off the rank for this tradition. So I've got 5 questions for you, and I've chat GPT'd them because I don't want to look like an idiot, because I think that, they're funny. They've got to be humour, jump in whenever you want. But, okay, first one is the be honest question.
Oh, the be honest question.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
okay.
So if you were a Queensland selected during your playing days, not long ago, brother, how many times would you have picked yourself in Origin?
Oh, how many times? You know what? I'll just pick myself every time. Yeah, that's it.
Chance to play Origin. You can't knock that back.
100%. That's it. That was the dream always, to play for Queensland, to pull that maroon jersey on. And 100% I would have picked myself, and I would have upped my match payments up there a bit too. Help a brother out.
Captain coach payment.
Captain coach payment, whatever.
Can you just be captain coach? You'll be right.
That's it. Yeah.
All right. Next question, the food question. Us, we all, no matter what, we all love food.
Yeah.
What was the most random thing you ate during a pre-game camp that somehow became your lucky meal?
Oh, the lucky meal. Well, I'm a father of 4 kids, and I remember they always used to love the peanut butter and honey sandwiches. And my take on that pre-game was peanut butter, honey and banana sandwiches.
Okay.
So you know what? It was always tradition. I'd make it in the team room before I'd get on the bus. I'd have it packed in my footy bag. And so while everyone was getting strapped up, I'd be making sure that would be my last meal. So that'd be it. So even to this day, and I know we've been on a few of the ABF Future Immortals Tour games.
Yes.
Always got to have the old peanut butter, honey and banana sandwich. Yeah. Lunch of champions.
Is it a mind thing? I'd love to ask you, nutrition. Is that a good thing? Is it a mind thing, or must have worked, obviously?
Yeah, just a bit of routine, I felt, it was always good to eat something before the game. And that was a nice, easy snack. So
okay, so this one's probably a bit of a, the teammate call out. It is. Who was the worst roommate you ever had on tour, and why was it? And why was it always the same bloke?
Oh, geez, that's a tough one. I mean, I got to tour a fair bit, especially on those kangaroo tours. 8 weeks away, man. That's a long time with one person in a small English or French hotel room. Look, I had some beauties. I had Big Mace. He was a roomie. So you can imagine I'm 6'3", he'd be 6'5", and you imagine us two squashed in the room. Marco Mealy. Who else? Pretty much every roommate I had on tour was a New South Welshman. So
did you have to go into like the shower sideways or anything like that?
A bit like that, yeah. It was a bit awkward at times, but would have been funny having a camera in the room and seeing some of the stuff that went on there. But no, it was all good stuff. But look, Dane Carlo, I think I had him the most at the Broncos. He was a good roomie, but he could be pretty messy. And other than that, I was pretty easygoing. So I was a good roomie, I'd like to think.
Okay, yeah, all right. So the last one is the fan moment. Spin. What's the weirdest thing someone has asked you to autograph, and did you sign it anyway?
Oh, geez. Yeah, look, because I think I was the responsible one, I didn't get too many dodgy calls on that. But I know that a few of my former teammates, got some very interesting things to sign. Whether they be body parts, I did see a few things there, but nothing on my end. I was pretty lucky. Didn't have to cop too much of that. Yeah.
Oh, awesome! Thanks for that, Pet. Well, that's our tradition. So we've got a 5-question tradition every time you did, and you did
we'll just turn the cameras off and let him answer that truth.
Yeah. That's the one.
But can we keep the audio on?
We got a couple of boys, I reckon, coming up in the next few podcasts. I reckon.
That'll have no shame. This is uncensored here on this podcast. But anyway, we're here to talk about, I guess, the Arthur Beetson Foundation, Future Immortals Tour, which we kicked off a couple of years ago now, wasn't it?
2021 we launched it.
Yep, and I guess first. Before we have a yarn about that, your take on the great man, Artie Beetson, like you had a lot of interaction obviously with him over the years, and what was what did you get out of him? What was your take on him?
Oh, he was just such an icon of rugby league, and even as a little boy growing up and seeing the footage of Arthur and just the stature of him, and he just had an aura about him. Yeah. And when I got to meet him for the first time, I just remember just the size of him, the size of his shoulders, and he just had that presence. And I was lucky. I got to play junior rugby league. I was playing at Redcliffe, and I got to play with his younger son, Mark. We were both coming through the junior ranks at Redcliffe together. So I got to see Artie a fair bit. But the one thing that I always remembered about him, he just always had time for you, He'd always take care and want to know more about you and your story. And as we got older, he actually gave me an opportunity to go to the Roosters. Unfortunately, I couldn't take it up. Just couldn't afford to sort of get down to Sydney at that time. But the thing that I always remember about him, and I guess that's why it's so proud for myself, and I know for all the other players to be a part of it, is that we can continue his legacy. He was so passionate about community. He's so passionate about giving back. He's so proud of his mob, and I think that's something that for all of us that are involved, we just want to keep that going and keep his legacy, his memory alive through the amazing work that he did, and we can carry that forward now. Yeah,
and I guess, being Fijian, born in Fiji?
Born in Fiji, yeah.
So, and I guess coming over here, was he someone that when you actually looked at him, you can relate?
Oh, 100%. Because, you're always looking for, I guess when I was watching rugby league, I was always looking for the Islanders or the Indigenous players because, they looked like me, they represented me, and I was sort of, that's who I always aspired to be like, So I remember, the great videos of Artie and just the way he played, and then, and just who he represented, right? So I think that's why it was such an honour to meet him. And as I said, every time I got to meet him, he always had time for you, and that's why I feel really honoured to be a part of this.
What about you, Block? Your take on Artie?
Yeah, so the strongest memory that resonates with me with Artie is one of the first times I met him was at our under-15 schoolboys carnival.
Long time ago for you, eh?
No, a lot younger than you.
He's doing all right. He's got no grey hair. He looks good.
None there.
Black don't crack.
But we actually hosted the carnival in Rocky. So our Central Queensland team, we ended up winning the carnival. And every day he sat in the same spot at the carnival. Mm-hmm. And similar to what Pet said is, he just remembers you. So every time, and obviously being the short person, I'm pretty easy to recognise.
Stand out.
But every day he made a point to say hello to me when I walked past him when I got to the ground. So he was always sitting in that same spot, meat pie in the hand, Coke in the other hand, and he sat there all day. He watched every game of footy at that carnival. He spoke to pretty much all the players at the carnival at some point. Like every time the team walked past. So where he was sitting, he was just at the entrance. So all the teams, as they walk past you, they had to walk past him, and he'd say hello to everyone.
Loved the yarn, eh?
And and so after the carnival, so I didn't make Queensland that year, so we won the carnival. I think we won every game pretty convincingly for Central Queensland. We had Brett Seymour, we had Jermaine Alberts, Ashley Alberts. We had a really good team, and we won the final by like 40 points, I think. And so I didn't make it. And he came up to me after it, and I was obviously shattered. And he said, mate, you're in my Queensland team.
Oh, how good.
And he said, you just keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to make it.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him again for probably another 5 or 6 years. I think, when I first debuted for the Bronx, I think was when I ran into him again, and he remembered me.
Wow.
So he came up to me and said, I told you you'd make it.
That's special.
Yeah.
How cool is that, eh?
Yeah,
It's
that's
unreal.
special. I think mine was, I had plenty of interactions with him, and I was an ambassador for one of the federal departments, and we did this whole thing around Centrelink and health checks and stuff like that. And I remember him first time I met him, and what I loved about him the most is, you go to Sydney. I remember moving to Sydney as a young girl, not that long ago, and and he was always ringing you. You're right, bub. You got to feed. You're right. You got somewhere to stay, and that was always him. And I remember, like this Hodjo. I think Joey Williams, I know they all lived with him.
Yeah.
Dino Withers at some stage. He always had kids and young mob in his house, and that's how I remember him. And I remember him being an ambassador for him as he got older, as we all got older. And he and I remember being he'd be sitting there having his meat pie, and there's me rowing at him, going, stop eating like that, And I think he was diabetic as well, so I'm sort of going off at him, but he'd just sit there and laugh at me and sit in the same place, laughing at me, going off at him. But just the most amazing human, and I guess that's the Arthur Beetson Foundation is a huge tribute to him. With his sons as well as, Jono, Steve Johnson, that has been pretty strong in that space. But I wanted to talk about the Future Immortals Tour, which we've, obviously been in quite heavily, and talk about the birth of that, Petero, yourself.
Yeah, I think it was just something that Block and I had been talking about there for a little while, a way in which, as former players, we could give back to community. And, we wanted to do it in the right way and in the way Artie would want it to be done, by us giving our time, going out to the community and spending some real time in community and getting to know, from the kids all the way to the elders, just mixing and making sure we had real genuine sort of interaction. And I think the other thing too is leveraging off our profiles, right? So although we've finished the game, it's, there can be a real sense of loss, I guess, and we can talk about this deeply, but when you finish and hang the boots up, it's almost like the lights get switched off, and all of a sudden, you were a high-profile sort of footballer, and then all of a sudden, you're not, and then there's that sense of loss, and I know for a lot of players, it can be challenging. Some players transition really easily, some get really challenged by it. So I think what we do provide is also, I guess, a bit of a safety net in terms of being able to capture those players that might be struggling or just generally just are okay, but just want to give back to community. So I think, we multifaceted way in which, we can really have a strong impact back in community, So
yeah, and I think the biggest thing about, when you talk about the loss, I think it's a loss to the community is seeing a lot of your faces, and especially the communities that rugby league is everything. And what does it, Block, I'll ask you, what does it mean to those communities when we head back out there and we're taking players like Petero and the likes of, Jimmy the Jet, James Maloney, Sean Berrigan, and these fellas, we've got a lot of non-Indigenous fellas that just love coming out and giving back to community. What does that mean for the community?
Yeah, it's one of those things that's hard to put into words.
Yeah.
So, the communities that we've visited over the last 4 or 5 years with this tour, they're remote communities. Kowanyama, Wudjal, Cooktown, Hopevale, Mariba's not as remote, but still it's in far north Queensland where community members from those places, they don't get to see the players very often. And as you touched on, football is a way of life, especially in Queensland, far north Queensland. It's just a way of life. Kids are born with the football in their hand. I know my family, all the early pictures you see of your cousins and your brothers, they're holding a football. Yeah. So it's just what they grow up on. It's what they love and it's what they believe in. So for us to then be able to bring, players with the caliber of, Pet and, Sean Berrigan, all these fellas that we've taken out to communities. And it's the good thing about it is the list of players that we've got is, you've got players that are recently retired. You've got players that have been retired for a while now. You've got players who played one game. You've got players who played 300 games. You've got players who played Origin tests. You've got players who played for the Pacific nations. And then you've got some players who didn't play NRL. They're at clubs, but they played distinguished Queensland Cup careers. At the end of the day, they're all the same. They're built the same way. They love the opportunity they got to play football in a high sort of level competition. And the thing is, rugby league players the majority of rugby league players aren't from Sydney and Brisbane. Like rugby league players come from the bush.
Community,
They come from communities.
Yeah.
So when we give them that opportunity then to go back to a community and use their profile to, give back to the game of football and to community, it's so fulfilling for them.
Yeah.
And we've noticed that. And without us even probing on these tours, players were just opening up to us on the tour. Like, it's such a tight-knit group once we go on tours. Like, we all stay together, we cook together, we do all the activities together, and we have fun together.
Talking about that tight-knit group, like, I remember the first one we went on, hey, Pet, and we went up on a...
the raft plane.
On the raft plane,
Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah.
And it was just like... You had to be tight-knit.
Oh, it was an experience.
And I remember poor Petero, I needed to move him so he could put his legs out
That's
just
it.
because like everyone was, but it was such an experience. And talk us through that first one. Like, I mean, we had to go into Weipa, offload some people so then we could go to Kowanyama and land because the runway wouldn't have been able to take all of us
Too
big
heavy.
units.
Yeah,
I think that was just my weight alone. Yeah.
2 tap-ins.
On it.
Yeah, we
Talk us through it.
It was such an amazing experience, and I think it's funny when you talk to the boys, they talk about their great memories for their football careers. That's like a highlight. That really is because ordinarily you jump on a plane and you fly to these communities and to be back in the back of a raft plane, that was unbelievable. It's like out of the
back
movie.
opened up. Hey,
The ramp come
it was
down,
cool.
and we're all marched in, and those seats. I'll never forget those seats. They had little canvas, little stretchers, and my big bucket ass, trying to sit in one of those things, and that was for how many hours? It was like
What are the big units?
Because we
had?
had to stop in Townsville first.
that's right.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
So
right.
we flew
Yeah.
from Amberley to Townsville to Weipa,
Yeah.
and then everyone got off, half got back on into Kowanyama, and then back picked the rest up.
That's
So
it.
it was a 10, 12 hour day.
It was a journey and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that added to it, right? And it felt like you're in a movie at one stage. I was thinking, like, open your eyes up and you're thinking, I'm going to be holding a gun. We're going out to war or something like this. But no, it was, and the way the RAF guys and girls treated us and looked after us, it was amazing. And then, but that's what the memories are all about,
Yeah.
You get if you're not. You don't know anyone or you haven't met anyone. That's the best way to meet, right? So we work our way up there, and just I think the excitement, being able to fly over these small communities, looking out that window and just looking so much brown land, and you're just thinking, how lucky are we? We get a chance to do something, and bring rugby league to these communities, but also to spend some amazing days there, and that's pretty much how it all unfolded for us, wasn't it? It was such an amazing experience, to be in community and to see the rural community, right? I think that's the fun thing about it, and the most enjoyable part about it, going to schools and then obviously playing our game as well too, which I'll never forget.
A bit hard to go from the lights of Suncorp and to go to the pitch at Kowanyama.
It's a little bit different. I remember picking up some horse shit.
Oh, that's we had to.
pre-game.
That's right.
That's
yeah,
right.
horse
Remember
shit,
we did the
that's
line
right.
and we were all just picking it up.
Right.
So I know I definitely want to be tackled in that, but no, but that's the fun of it, right? It was hilarious, but
and the time of year we went on that first one was October.
Oh,
and
stinking hot.
I remember I reffed that game, and I've never sweated so much. And I wasn't even playing.
It was a shocker. Yeah,
it was the hottest day on earth.
It was, but against playing the local fellas, it just is nothing to them, right? We're the ones dying, and we're supposed to be former professional footballers, and we're a mess. Yeah.
And I still remember, like, I guess for the viewers out there, the whole format was, to take former players up there and to mingle with community, but we do a whole lot of community engagement first, and then and there was mob from everywhere that came in for that game.
Unbelievable.
And it was sort of like the locals were mixed in with the Future Immortal ambassadors, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And so
I think that whole week was enormous. Like the things we were able to achieve. Like for example, the school. One of the community engagement initiatives we did was go and visit the school, but they weren't allowed to attend our activities if they didn't go to school. So,
That's right.
So that year leading up to the event, they had about 30% attendance until we ran that campaign saying if you don't come to school, you can't, and it went straight to 90%.
wow.
And again, that's just the power of football. Mm-hmm. They didn't know, those kids don't know a lot of the players. Like the players that play for us are retired 10, 20 years. So they might not know, the kids don't know them, but they know football players are coming to town.
Yeah,
So
and I remember having a conversation with Willie Tonga around like how grateful he was to be there, because he felt like whilst he was playing, he took that for granted.
Yep.
he took the community stuff and remembering when he was a little boy, like he was looking into, you know, the likes of the Pearl and other players, and it's a good thing that we're able to provide like that platform for players to be able to know that yes, they may not have done what they feel like they should have been doing, and there's all reasons why, right? There's all reasons why, you know, you guys, when you're playing at that level, that there's time, there's just so much going on in your life that you forget, don't forget, and you can't. And I think for someone like Willie, who he was really, I guess, upset the fact that he didn't do that while he was playing, but to be able to provide this platform for, and I said to him, well, you're doing it now. Like you give him back now is just as good, if not better than, you know, because he's able to give him full self than when he was playing.
Yeah,
so
100%.
that's important.
Yeah, I think so. Because, you know, you stay committed to your career, right, whilst it's unfolding, whilst it's happening. But, you know, there's always that part of you that acknowledges that, you know, I come from a small community, you know, and, you know, it's important to give back. But I think, you know, realisation for all of us is that when you're walking through community, going to the schools, mixing with the elders, it just makes you realise, man, I was so lucky to play a game that I loved, and the impact that it can have now, even all these years now later, the positive difference it does make, you know. So, you know, that's why we started off with a small group and it keeps growing because more and more players are talking about it. And it's wonderful with this podcast, you know, we get this out there about just the amazing work that goes on behind the scenes and when we're in community. So hopefully more, you know, rugby league supporters or just sport lovers, people in community can get behind it because it's such an amazing vehicle.
And talking about that side of things, with the first one with Konyama, there were some really important people within the community that just stood up and go, yep, look, I'm going to give this, you know, we're going to sponsor it, we're going to give it a crack, we're going to support it because it's going to be, we hope that it's going to be the best thing for our community. Who are some of those people and organisations that, you know, just took a leap?
So straight off, it was Kanyama Aboriginal Shire Council. The guy who was instrumental in that, Kevy Bell, I played a bit of footy with him at the Jets. And we were just yarning one day, and I was just telling him about, me and Pet have been coming up with this concept. We want to take some players out to community. And he goes, we get nothing like that up here. He said, what do you need to make it happen? And so we just sort of sat out, we fleshed it out. And then his council, so the mayor at the time, Robbie Sands, was a big supporter of it. All their councillors just jumped at the opportunity.
One of their councillors played, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Elroy,
Elroy, he played in the actual game.
Yeah, he was there. So,
was he on your team or was he on the other side?
He was on the other side. He packed down the front row and he came onto my belly button. But I tell you what, he hit hard like blocker. He hit me that hard. It was hilarious. And when I fell on the ground, mate,
he had a busted knee.
The big
too.
chair went up. It was awesome.
But yeah, so that the council got straight behind it.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple other sort of Skytrends came on board that helped get us there. They had one of their local programs. I think it was CEQ. I think it was called. So they'd Rise, one of their other local programs. So they all sort of banded together just to bring this resource to town because it wasn't a tried and tested concept. It was something that
that's a risk, hey?
Yeah,
it's a risk.
It's a risk. But again, the beauty of it was we were able to get some really high profile players from the start, put their weight behind it. Obviously, having Pet as the main one driving it was enormous because it just allowed all the other ones to, that first one, they said, we had Willie there, we had Matty Bowen there, we had
the Jet. I remember
Jimmy
all the kids
were
trying to race you, mate.
That's
I said,
right.
well, I'll beat you, Jimmy the Jet.
Yeah, so there was some really big names that sort of put themselves forward to come and be part of it. And as I said, the whole community just welcomed it. Like we had a welcome in at the Elders that first night.
That's right.
And had a smoking ceremony and that just set the tone. Like everyone felt so at ease that they were able to be welcomed by the traditional owners, the elders, and they gave us their blessing to come into their community. Because the other thing you got to remember, English isn't the first language for community members in that community. So, it was very foreign to have a,
Do you want some of my toilet paper for your number 11s?
to have a contingent of people come in, and it just meant so much to them. And we achieved so. There was young Fitzroy, AFL player. His father was a ranger. I think he still is, and he came and took part in the event. We didn't know,
Yep.
but he's from that community, and he was an avid rugby league player growing up. He told us, and there just wasn't opportunities for rugby league in that community. So our game had sort of failed that community in the sense that we weren't able to identify him because he wanted to play league, and then he went and had a career with
AFL.
AFL. Is it Hawthorn or?
No, it was what's the red and black team?
Essendon Bombers.
Essendon.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was Essendon. I'm not a big AFL person.
The Bombers. Michael Long's old team.
Yeah, I think it was that team, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah. That's awesome. And I mean, like, Pet, like some of the highlights for you so far. I mean, it was always meant to be for community, but I think there's a big component of it that has been for the players, and we spoke about it and around there, and like I've played sport. I've played at the highest level in a couple of sports, but at the end of the day, I haven't spent months and months and months with these players, and there's that brotherhood there. Like, talk to us about what you've seen, and that's for both of you, with the players that have come back, and like people like Bodine Thompson. We haven't seen him for years. We haven't heard of what he's doing, and normally you hear around the traps what people are doing, but just talk about how important that is for the players and not just the community.
I think right off the bat, it's I guess a safe space. I think if that's probably how I think of it. For players that are a bit unsure, might be a bit hesitant to jump on board with the tour, and then when they do come on, they're trying to figure it out. You can actually see it in their eyes. What is this? How does this all work? And
how do I fit in?
Right? But then once they get a feel for it, and they can see the way we're all carrying ourselves, we're relaxed, and we make it known to them that this is a place where you can just drop your shoulders. You don't have to portray any sort of image or whatever, no matter how you were seen in the game. Just come along and have some fun and enjoy and just give back, right? So once they come and they get a feel for that, all of a sudden you can actually see the weight just drop off their shoulders, right? So they feel relaxed, and then all of a sudden you can see them start to open up more, after day 1, day 2, and then while we're into it, we're in the community, you can just see how much the joy that they get off it. Yeah. And I think individually, sort of speaking to some of the boys, you can actually see it in their eyes, how emotional they get, when they're actually thinking about, and you use that example of Willie, when he realised that, man, I wish I'd done this more, and I think for players to still see that, although I've hung the boots up and, maybe, my life's gone in a different direction, I might be working in the mines, I might be, doing whatever, people still remember me for that guy that was on the field, right? And I think it just, there's that I don't know, bit of joy in their eyes, they love it, right?
Yep.
And I think also too, emotionally, that we've seen it, on countless times where guys talk openly about the struggles and how this opportunity to tour with the ABF Future Immortals has just meant so much to them. They needed this to bring them back in, right? So I think when you see players that, on the field they were tough, they had these hard exteriors, but
got vulnerable, hey, they 100%. Felt a bit vulnerable, when
you see them get emotional and some tears get shed, and they speak about how good this is for them and what this means to them, that's I reckon the highlight.
Is it a thing that brotherhood is like, so the bond that you all have when you play during a season in, season out, does that play a big part in?
I think so. That was on that first tour. That was one of the biggest things I noticed.
Yeah.
Was because I retired at 29, so I'd been out of the game for a long time. I hadn't seen a lot of these guys for quite a while, but how they slotted straight back into like they were in the dressing shed.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like that was really prevalent for me. That you see these fellas that you used to play footy with or against, and the good thing was that place we stayed at in Kawanyama, the training centre, was perfectly set up. It was like a football camp.
Yep.
It was, so you had a big veranda, for all the players to sit on, play cards, and muck around. You had a big kitchen for everyone to cook meals, and everyone had their rooms and their cabins that sort of just surrounded all that area, and it was a fenced-in area. It was just for us.
Yeah.
So, the way that everyone sort of just went about their business, and as Pet said, some were very vocal to start with, some were very standoffish, very sheepish, and by the end of the sort of first day, everyone had just relaxed, and just got straight back, and the yarns and the stupid conversations,
the stories, and Barrow stories.
Oh, Barrow.
So it was an eye opener for me how how much we all miss that. Like, and that's the thing you don't understand is for people,
I can see it now. Like looking at you two and you speak about it, the joys in your face.
Well, when you play football, you're in a bubble. You know, everything is set for you. Your training schedule, your clothes, your meals,
flights.
like everything's scheduled for you, and all you do is drive to and from, and just do what you have to do. And you get robotic to a certain degree when you play your footy career, because the ones that play long, they do that year in, year out. So then to finish the game, and then as Pat said, you know, you lose a bit of that stardom as well, because especially, you know, in Brisbane with the Broncos, everyone knows who you are. You can't go anywhere. So, you know, you can't walk down the street. Everyone stops you. So when you finish the game and, you know, 3, 4, 5 years out of the game, people, you're not forgotten, but, you know, everyone knows who the next crowd is. So players miss that. Like it's a big thing. Like when you run on the Suncorp Stadium, it was one of the best things in my life. You know, packed house at Suncorp, 50-odd thousand people. Like you can't beat it. So then to go back to into normal life and try and find that adrenaline rush.
And that thrill. Hey,
but players miss it. So that's why players struggle when they go back to communities, because then they got to go back and then. If you play 10, 15-year career, a lot of the time these players aren't learning skills that are going to translate back into society.
Normal life,
They're learning skills that are going to make them elite athletes. So then to go back to an office job or a job on the tools or whatever, it's foreign. So, and again, that adrenaline rush you get when you play footy, it's hard to explain. So a lot of these players, and that's what I'm saying, like without us probing, they were telling us about how they struggled to transition back into society, and it was a really big thing for myself and Pet when we first started, to then after that first one to connect back and say, geez, we've got something here. We've got something here. So how do we keep the momentum now? Because that was the biggest struggle at the time. Like we did one, and then we did another one for nearly a year.
And I remember the WhatsApp. When are we doing this again? Like they would just like that adrenaline was still
how
there.
good is the WhatsApp though? Like we've got a WhatsApp group that has all the players that have played and some that haven't played but have said they want to be part of it, just timing they can't do it. But then every time there's a birthday, we all say happy birthday to each other. And for some people that are having a hard day, that picks them up.
100%. Hearing from the crew.
It is. And then all the banter starts then. Someone starts telling stupid jokes.
I'm still waiting for my discount code from Peach for his new toilet paper.
We're all waiting, aren't we? Come on, Peach.
Put it on that chat, mate. Put it on that chat so I can share it with all my family.
Half price.
But I guess, Pet, we've had some cool times. Hey, like I think the most memorable time I think I've had was in Kawanyama, first trip, and Scotty Prince, fit as, bloke, well, he thinks he can still play, but, fit as, and he's like, I'm going to go, 5:30 a.m, I'm going for a run. And I'm like, just watch them dogs, the camp dogs or the community dogs, they'll come for you. And next minute you see him jumping in the back of a lady, I think it was one of the counsellors' ute, because the dogs were all chasing it. And like that, those little memories,
there's more dogs in Kawanyama than there is people.
Well, there you go. What do you reckon is your probably memorable moment that you could on one of the tours?
Just community taking us out on the country. I think that's I mean, for us, majority of us that grew up in the city, just to be given that opportunity to see something that ordinarily no one else would see, right? Unless you're in community or you're connected to mob there. But that was amazing, and to be able to be taken down some tracks and shown some amazing scenery, but also too some really sacred sites, right? I felt so lucky. I felt, man, we are so lucky to get a chance to be here, to listen to the stories, from the elders themselves, and to be able to talk about, when they were little, this is where we used to swim, and these are the things, and just iconic, parts of scenery that we were thinking, it looks great, but see beyond there, that's where we used to go hunting, and this is where the fish would run, and this is the time of year when these leaves are dropping here, you know, just to get an understanding of all that. That was awesome. And then, just to be able to you know, go to those special spots, to be able to have a swim and just to get amongst it, I think was really special. You could see the boys, right? You know, as big and as tough as they all are, just to be in that moment to think, man, this is so special. We're so lucky to be a part of this.
And I think I remember like Tyrone Roberts, you know, loves this fishing, you know, being able to fish on a different part of the country. But I think, for me, one of the eye-opening moments was when we went out to Hopevale and we got to go see Maddie's parents, Maddie Bowen, and I hadn't seen them in years. And I remember the last time I saw his mum, and she remembered it was when I picked them up in Sydney for their grand final that they won. Yep. But like at the part where their main house is now, like if you go through the bush. I remember us going through the bush on the 4-wheelers on the back of the big ute, and seeing where Maddie actually grew up with him and his siblings. It wasn't at that main house. Remember, it was at the back.
That's right.
Along Sandy Creek, where their mum used to bath them because they were living in a tent for a while. And I got to sort of have this moment where I interviewed Maddie about it. And then the shack next door was while they were, him and his dad and his uncle were building it. And like that was the life. And I was like, this is such a be where your feet are moment for me. And just reality of like this is living for a lot of our Mulbon communities, Hopevale, you know, and that's, you know, obviously him and Brenton Bowen up in Hopevale, and just seeing where that they grew up, and just to, you know, their stories that I love going back to kids and sort of saying like, you know, these are and for them that wasn't hard. That they didn't think they had it rough growing up. You know, whereas some kids would think that is, but for them that was the way they did it. And that was like being able to see that was like one of the best things for me about the Future Immortals Tour.
For me, I think something that really sticks out for me is the first tour Rennie came on, where he said to us that was the first time he hadn't had the head noise.
Wow.
And just being away just allowed him to relax and enjoy the moment. And it probably didn't resonate with me until the next year, when we went back to Kawanyama, and because a lot of the times I don't go and do all the stuff that you all do because I'm
working,
pulling all the strings to make sure you get to where you need to go.
Doing the good stuff.
I actually got to go out and go out fishing, and so Kawanyama's a place of many waters.
Yeah, that's the name of it, eh?
That is. Yep. And when you go out onto that country and you go to untouched landscape,
it's the best.
And you see the water, the different blues and all that sort of stuff, that was a moment for me where I said, actually, it's one of the first times the head noise is going for me too. I actually just enjoyed the moment of being there. And then the other thing for me is with the community. The last year's one at with Mariba, we played at Atherton, and then the year before at Mariba,
my debut game.
But those two games for me, one of the funniest but most pleasing thing was when the players ran out. The crowd, like all the kids, a 50-meter tunnel was formed.
That's right.
And we were introducing the players one by one. And these kids didn't know half the players, but they were in there. They were in there tapping them on the back, and getting their touch of them, and it was like that. Just showed that how much the community loved it, and as I said, like our games are not the exhibition games. They're not full pace.
Some do take it quite seriously.
Willie and bloody Rennie. but they're not full pace. They're not as entertaining as when you watch them play in their in their heyday. But the crowd still loved it.
I remember Jimmy the Jet. They had I think we deliberately set up a try for him just to go this 90-meter try, and at the top of his speed. Remember, because that's what the crowd.
That's what I wanted.
You could tell that one of the fastest men ever to play rugby league, and getting into space and giving him 90 metres, it just absolutely, and he hasn't lost it.
The funny thing was,
you hate defending people like that, eh?
100%. He didn't get to top gear in that run either.
Exactly.
It was just effortless, but it was still fast.
I
love it too, how we include a lot of local legends, in the game as well too. So I think even for the community members to see, their community in amongst all of us playing.
And kids getting to watch their dad play. I loved that.
Give them a water bottle each. They're all running the water on for us, and to see how excited they are.
20 kids running water. It's quite a spectacle.
Don't worry, we need it,
And Justin Lumens I remember him taking he's got a fake tooth, and he took he's the on-field commentator, him and Bush Tucker Bungie. Just so many moments that, like I love talking about that we've created and Future Immortals and the Arthur Beetson Foundation have created. It's just, honestly, it's like, I don't want them to stop, and I hope they don't.
No.
Well, that's the plan of these podcasts is to sort of amplify the messaging and create some exposure for what we're doing, so we can do more. Like we've got 3 tours locked in already for this year. We've got the Vegas tour coming up, so there's already a lot of activity, and we're starting. And we formed connections with other councils in other areas. It was really good for us to get the opportunity to go meet with all the Aboriginal councils on the Gold Coast last year.
Yep.
And, you got places like Doomadgee, Lockhart River, Palm Island, Pomperow.
Yep.
They're all starting to hear about what we're doing in other communities that sort of within their footprint. So they're all keen to have conversations, and that's what we want. We want to be able to take this far and wide and have just a consistent flow of events that's happening where our players can go out and just immerse themselves in the community, relax for a few days and have some fun, but achieve some really good things for the community. That's what it's all about. So we're very keen to keep pushing that messaging, and that's, again, this podcast, we're going to shine some light on the previous tours.
Some stories.
The players that have gone on the tours. I think some of the community outcomes as well.
100%.
So we'll definitely use this platform to tell those stories and pick it up, and hopefully, people want to engage with us and keep it moving forward in the future.
Unreal.
Petero, thank you for taking your time out to come and join us. I'm sure this is not the last we're going to see of you. You're phenomenal. Block and I and the rest of all of our communities just appreciate you so much and what you give to us. To our communities, you're adopted black fella for all of us. And that just goes to show it shines through how the community love you no matter where you come from. They just absolutely adore you, and we thank you a lot. And I know Artie would definitely be so proud of this and proud of his boys as well, Christian, Mark, and
Bradley.
And Bradley. And I was going to call him Uncle Bradley, but he would hate that. But thank you so much.
No
and thanks
worries.
for Block coming back on.
So next
can't
week,
get enough, eh?
Yeah, we'll get the next episode up in Rocky.
We will.
So we've got our first Future Immortals Tour in Rocky coming up this
for
year.
2026.
So, very, very, very exciting. The only issue I've got at the moment is the flood. So
let's hope.
We may have to postpone it, but next podcast we're going to shine a light on Rocky. So we're going to go to all the venues that we're going to go and engage with whilst we're on the tour. And there'll be a couple of the players that live up that way that'll be part of the event. We'll get them on the podcast. We're up there next week and tell some yarns with them, and just start building up that anticipation for that event. And looking forward to it.
All right, tune in next time. Thanks, Pet.
Thank you, Bo. Thanks, Block.
Hear the old voices call. We stand when brothers fall. Strong heart, strong mind. More than the game, we carry the line. The boots come off, but the man walks on.